present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
An update on the Recovery Foundation and the work of Connections Counseling is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. We're a little more than a month out from the annual Voices for Recovery Luncheon, and we're going to preview this special 10th annual event a little later. But we begin with a discussion of substance abuse disorders, treatment options, and challenges, and the remarkable work Connections Counseling and the Recovery Foundation does in our community. As I welcome back to For the Record, Connections Counseling and Recovery Foundation founder and director Shelley Dutch, the president of the Recovery Foundation Board, Sean Glover, and mentor and Recovery Foundation recipient, Chander Brown. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Another year, Shelley.
Yes, this is
very
exciting.
Cool. 10th annual.
Back here with you, Neil.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having us.
As always, I think it's just good for people to understand the connection between Connections Counseling and the Recovery Foundation and the work that it does. Describe that for us.
Absolutely. So Connections Counseling started in 2003, and as we increased our services, we found that there were a lot of people that didn't have the funds or financial means to afford treatment, and especially now with the managed care and the deductibles. So we started Recovery Foundation as a way to provide access to treatment for people that couldn't afford treatment or couldn't access services.
Connections Counseling has always been focused on substance use disorders.
We are actually a mental health and substance abuse clinic licensed by the state of Wisconsin. So we, and in this day and age, probably 90% of the people we treat have dual diagnosis, meaning both mental health and substance use, and oftentimes they will self-medicate in order to deal with depression or anxiety.
So how big is Connections Counseling? How many counselors are there?
We have 46 staff now, and we just expanded, and we have a campus location as well because we work a lot with university and college students. We have both a evening and day intensive outpatient program. One of the things that's the most exciting is, well, the two things are our groups and our mentor program, which Sean and Chander can speak of later. But the groups, we try to create groups according to what the needs are in the community. So we do have gender-specific LGBTQ groups, trauma-informed groups. We do opiate-specific treatment, medication management, and of course we do a lot of DBT, which is a program that helps people with anxiety and develop skills, life skills and coping skills to deal with life without using drugs.
And people are referred to you, they call you,
yes,
they walk in.
Everywhere. They're all over. And what's really beautiful, and as you've seen at the luncheon, is we have, we work with police force. We are the hubs now for the MARI program, which is Madison Area Recovery Initiative. And so we're working with both the mental health workers at the police force as well as attorneys all over, social workers, physicians, businesses. So it's really exciting because I think a lot of people know that the passion which our staff, I mean, I'm biased, I know, but we have a staff that cares so deeply about each person, and I think both these guys know that, you know, it's a lifetime process. It isn't like you come in 3 months, you're fixed, and go live your life. We have people that have been with us 14 years, or even more.
Sure.
That
I met you 15 years ago.
15 years ago, and is still, and then they learn to give back, and that's really the essence of what keeps people sober.
We're going to talk about the luncheon later, but it really is remarkable to be in that room and see the passion
And yeah.
that people have for the work, for the recovery, for each other, and then the affection that they have for each other.
And it's an example of a community of recovering people that,
From all walks.
like,
of
from
life.
all walks that I certainly never knew existed.
And so people supporting recovery
Each other,
people.
right.
I mean, you see tables of law enforcement there.
Yes.
For whom this is such a valuable piece of their work.
It is.
To have Connections and the Recovery Foundation available to them. So talk about how you ended up on the board and your connections, Sean.
Well, I'm in recovery myself. I started at Connections 15 years ago. I became a mentor. I've been a mentor for, I think, over 10 years now. And I volunteer in some of the groups at Connections, sit in on the groups, and I get paired up with individuals too in a mentor role, kind of guiding them in early recovery.
And
so I've been very involved at Connections for a long time, and Shelley asked me to be on the board, I think about 4 years ago I've been on the board. So.
And just to complete the picture here, Shander, talk about your relationship with Connections.
Well, before I was at Connections, like most addicts, I didn't think I had a problem. And I was homeless and just kind of like lost. And I finally one day looked in the mirror and I was like, I just can't do this anymore, And I went to my doctor, and my doctor suggested Connections counseling.
Oh, that's
You didn't even know that.
No, I didn't know
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
So, and in the past, I've struggled with therapy, but I think this time I was just ready, and I went there, and I mean, I don't regret it. It really changed me, and honestly, it just saved me.
Did you grow up here, Shander?
I did. I was adopted from India when I was 15 months old, but I consider myself Madison born.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back, I hope maybe you'll talk a little bit more about the process and what you experienced there so people get a better idea of what's available. We're going to do that when we come back right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
They do it for the Kevins and the Lukes, for the Noras and the Richards and the Marys. They do it for mothers and brothers and people they don't even know. They do it because someone has to, and you can too. Join us for the ride on September 22nd. All money raised supports cancer research and patient treatments right here at the University of Wisconsin. Sign up at theridewi.org.
What's the role of a car company? To take your kids to and from school? We think it can be something bigger.
Right. So we have the essay structure. We have 3 parts. Intro.
This summer, Volkswagen is supporting America's teachers. Visit your VW dealer to learn how you can join in. Now, during the Volkswagen Drive Bigger event, get a $1,000 purchase bonus on 2019 Jetta, Tiguan, and select Atlas models.
This guy has really terrorized Rockford and Beloit.
Helping other vets was a way for me to help myself.
These headstones never should have been removed.
14 trees going to neighborhoods in Madison.
Have fun. You got it right. Hands in. Here we go. Have fun!
I've been preparing my whole adolescence for this.
Hi, folks. Move-in week is upon us for lots of college students, so we're talking about some housing scams that might be going around.
And the First Alert Weather Team is tracking the return of rain and storm chances in the week ahead.
We'll see you bright and early on Monday morning.
Apple cider vinegar. For years, we've shown you the benefits, and you've listened. Now, there's a new kid in town.
Taste this. Oh, that's good.
Next Oz. Weekdays at 3 on News 3 Now.
Monday, September 16th is the Voices for Recovery Luncheon, the 10th annual luncheon put on by the Recovery Foundation. And as always, we try to spend a half an hour talking about the issues around that in anticipation of the luncheon with Shelley Dutch, who is the founder and director of Connections Counseling and the Recovery Foundation. And joining us is Sean Glover, who is the Recovery Foundation board president. and Chandra Brown, who is a mentor and Recovery Foundation recipient. We've mentioned mentor a couple of times here. Now, how long have you been a mentor, Chandra?
I'd say maybe about 6 months now.
And what's involved in that?
A lot of it has to do with, well, for me, I think it's different for a lot of mentors. For me, I'm really just there as a sober friend. You know, I'm not there to really, I'm there to push them if they need that push, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm not going to tell them, you know, to get sober. If they want to get sober, I'm here for them. You know, I'm there. But I'm also there as just a friend, letting them know this is how you can live your life without using.
Yep. And just sharing your own story is a big part of, you know, because, you know, you've been where they are, you know, in early recovery. So, and early recovery is tough.
Yeah. How many mentees do you think you've had, Sean?
I have no idea.
I mean, I just kind of wonder how the process goes. How long do they stay, or how do you decide I can take another mentee? Or...
You know, and a lot of it's a lot of, like Chandra said, it's different for a lot of the mentors. I do a lot of groups, sitting in on groups and giving feedback along with the counselors in group sessions. I have been assigned, you know, individuals, and you know, I don't know how many I've been assigned, a dozen or so over the years, you know, that I'll work with. And a lot of times it's just somebody to talk to, somebody to reach out to, somebody to connect with. You know, addiction can be such an isolating disease, and learning to connect with people again is a tough process.
You know, for all the progress that we've made, I think, in understanding substance use issues and addictions, we're still not very good at talking about it. And I suspect there are a fair number of people watching whose their instinct is just to go right to alcohol. And we have this huge opioid problem that I'm worried we look at it sort of independently of alcohol and think, well, that's a whole.
Yeah.
How do we kind of wrap our heads around that and appreciate? You know, what...
Yeah. Well, in our program, we talk about cross-addiction. And a drug is a drug is a drug. We don't care if it's marijuana, alcohol, opiates, cocaine. It's about the preoccupation, the loss of control, and the continued use in spite of adverse consequences.
And would that include gambling and other...
All of it.
Yeah, no, right, okay.
Disordered eating, gaming, you know, all of the spending, all of those co-occurring disorders. But one of the things that's really important is, so we check in with people to see how long they've been sober. But if they come in for opiates, they think, well, I don't have a problem with alcohol or pot. But typically, when you abstain from one substance, you tend to gravitate towards another one, and that is quite common. So we're really clear that we would like to see what is your life like, you know, for a 90-day period at least, to not do these substances. What does it do for you that you can't do for yourself? And to really explore that.
Was that your experience, either of you?
Yeah, it really was. And
did you pull back on one and then maybe overcompensate with another?
No, you know, when I got sober, I wanted to go 100%, and I wanted to just, you know, I had a problem with everything, and I knew my personality. I had an addictive personality, so if I quit one thing and I went to another, that would just take over. So you know, in the past I've tried to get sober. Didn't work out, but this time I was very serious about it, and I really wanted to.
Wow. So he's more of the exception, and that's awesome. I think one of the things in this community, we have the mentors from ages 18 to 65 or 70, and what's really cool about being a mentor is we're not preaching. It's a program of attraction, and you see other people learning to live life and experience emotions and hard things without turning to substances. And the opiate epidemic has caused heartbreak, we have numerous families that come to the luncheon who've lost their son or daughter, and we have a wall at our clinic of people that have passed away from opiates and other substances, but more opiates, especially in the last few years. And, you know, we have to focus on the solution. We know the problem, but the power of a mentor program and helping people learn, and especially in the state of Wisconsin, it is so prevalent. And I mean, alcohol is, they can't imagine.
It's ingrained into our
how
culture.
do we have fun? How do we experience life? I mean, we have all walks of life coming in, and the culture in our state, and especially winters where people have seasonal affective disorders, and depression increases, and drug use increases. It is overwhelming.
Is it the typical path that someone will need several attempts? And by that I mean they might ask you, you know, do you have any suggestions here? And you invite them in, and then they're not ready. So then they try it again. And I mean, is that kind of the typical process?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's how it was for me for the longest. And I know other people too that think they're ready to get sober, and then, you know, life happens and, you know, they relapse, which is unfortunate.
Or they say, I got this, and I don't need to be going to meetings or groups.
I don't need help. I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the myth.
Probably contributes to the disorder to begin with. It's that kind of personality, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That I can do it myself, and I don't need any help.
Because, you know, at first it just seems, quote unquote, easy. You know, it's just like, okay, you know, I got it.
That's
you know?
the pink cloud, first 30 days.
Yeah, in the first 30 days, you know, you're just like, okay, you know, this seems simple. I don't need anything. You know, I don't need anybody. I think I got this. And then that next 30 days comes by, and, you know, you're struggling, and this cycle happens over and over again.
Well, let's continue our conversation about the work and also invite people to the luncheon when we come back on For the Record right after this.
It's car buying season at Nissan's Bottom Line Model Year-End event. Save big on the last of our 2019s, like the Tech Advanced Rogue. Get 0% financing for up to 36 months on Nissan Rogue.
Congratulations to Mary Gaines and Chris Wagner, top-notch music teachers in Madison.
It's very rewarding to watch somebody learn to play better.
Everyone should be able to enjoy picking up an instrument at any age.
If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Sponsored by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait. There may be time deadlines to file a claim.
Call 800-925-1254. That's 800-925-1254.
I am a nurse,
a firefighter, a college student,
a mother, and I am an American soldier. I will always be ready
for every storm and disaster that threatens my community. I will always be there to protect my neighbors,
my family,
and my country.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Really? It's car buying season at Nissan's Bottom Line Model Year-End event. Save big on the last of our 2019s, like the Tech Advanced Rogue. Get 0% financing for up to 36 months on Nissan Rogue.
On the next Live Before, we'll meet our Pet of the Week from the Dane County Humane Society looking for a forever home.
And Dr. Zorba Pastor will be here to answer your medical questions live.
Download the Channel 3000 app today.
We're back with Shelley Dutch, with Sean Grover, despite the fact I've been calling him Sean Glover. It's Sean Grover. I apologize, Sean.
Neil.
And Chandra Brown, and we're talking about the Recovery Foundation, the work of Connections Counseling and the Recovery Foundation, and the luncheon that's coming up. So, I think we just want to make it clear that everyone is welcome to come.
Absolutely. Our part of our mission statement is to educate the community and dispel the myth, because almost every family is affected by a friend or relative that has been affected by substance use or mental health issues. Yeah. And we want to invite people to celebrate recovery, and recognize that people can be helped and can live productive, amazing lives.
Yeah, to see the hope that happens.
Yeah, I think hope is such an important word, because that is a very hopeful event.
Yeah.
Sean, I remember when Chester Markole, when his behavior was starting to attract some attention, and then when he went public with his struggles with his mental health issues and substance abuse, it was a big deal and pretty rare at the time.
My personal memory, I remember, it's one of the most, could be one of the most famous plays in Packer history.
Right.
Top 10.
Right.
I think it was 1980 where he field goal was blocked and he bounced back to him and he ran it in for a touchdown. Yeah. But he has a book out, and he talks about his, growing up. He was a Polish immigrant who lost his father to suicide, moved to the United States, and played football in the National Football League. He was very successful, but he also developed an addiction. And he's going to talk about that at our luncheon. And it's a very powerful story. It's really an amazing book. And he's going to talk about his story. And he's sober now, and he's a substance abuse counselor.
This may be a cliche, but I think it's probably close to true. There's no one who isn't affected in some way by substance abuse, that they don't know somebody, that someone in their family.
It is so prevalent.
So this luncheon is an opportunity for someone who doesn't necessarily have to be with their child or with their partner or with their friend, to go and just learn more about what's available.
And to network and see people, real people from all over our community that want to be part of the universal recovery process that people for so long felt shame and wouldn't talk about it. And now we're proud to be in recovery, including myself.
Yeah. And Chandra, as a young person, you look ahead knowing that you're going to require the support for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable with that.
I am. It took me a while to kind of accept that, but after living the sober life, I like it way more. It's way less stressful, and I just feel complete and happy.
Tell them about some of the neat things that are happening.
Chandra will be speaking at the luncheon as well, telling some of his story.
Yes.
Great.
So a little sneak peek, I guess, on my story.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was homeless. And I just, I really need to, just kind of get sober. And when I was in high school, when I graduated high school, I was homeless again. And I got out of the hospital for mental health, and I was homeless again. And it's just kind of it was kind of a repeat of that, a lot of big cycle of just me wanting to get sober.
You were using during the time you were homeless?
Yeah, and just, going back to my parents saying I wanted to be sober, but then,
not being able to do it.
Not being able to do it, and then just a whole...
Back out on the street.
Yeah.
So the recovery is the miracle.
Yeah.
For a 20-year-old that's been through that, to be able to now celebrate life? What are some of the things that are happening for you?
Well, a lot actually. You know, in the span of a year, a lot has changed for me. Well, one, I'm a mentor, and that to me is just awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it feels so good.
I'm glad you said that. I think that's important.
Yeah, it feels so good, and I know that I don't want anybody else to go through what I did. I want to skip that step that I had to. You know, I want them to be able to be like, okay, you know, I know this now, and I can do something about it.
Yeah.
And so it's so nice to do that and be able to just help people. And it's been nice, you know, in the very beginning of sobriety, I was just anxious, just so socially anxious, and honestly, I would not even imagine doing something like this. But Connections and my counselor, who's amazing, by the way, just really helped me get out of my shell. And it just made me a better person.
We got to wrap it up. The luncheon is full of stories like this. I mean, every year I've been there, there have been just really inspirational stories. Congratulations. Go to the website to get tickets. That's the easiest way to do it. Yep.
Yes, and Rosecrans and Recovery Foundation Connections will hope to see all of you there.
Yep. Good. Thank you all very much. We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
The summer of Jeep rolls on at Don Miller. The new Jeep Grand Cherokee Upland 4x4, styled to stand out. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, advanced multi-stage front airbags. With discounts and rebates just $37,319. Ask about 0% financing. The new Cherokee Latitude with latch-ready child seat anchor system. Only $23,448 after all discounts and rebates. The summer of Jeep now at Don Miller, Madison and Dane County's Jeep headquarters. Odana Road, Madison.
Don Miller.
If your family is anything like this, you need quality floors from Empire today. Like durable carpet with built-in stain and pet protection. Tough wood laminate with a scratch-resistant finish. Or waterproof vinyl plank floors. Even bath time is no match. And when life happens, Empire backs every floor with great warranties. Quality floors you can count on. That's Empire today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Time to nominate your favorites for Best of Madison. August 1st through 31st, vote daily and the top 6 move on to the finals. Check out 30 great new categories at MadisonMagazine.com, BOM. Presented by the Ho Chunk Nation and Ho Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin.
You make plans. What to wear, where to go, when to go, what to bring. And then the weather changes. Everything. News 3 Now First Alert Weather and Traffic will prepare you for what's coming early, often, and accurately, so you can plan your life.
If you're watching this channel using an antenna, listen carefully. Rescan day is coming, so follow 3 simple steps to continue receiving this signal. 1. Press menu on your remote control. 2. Select setup. 3. Choose antenna, then channel scan or auto tune. Your TV will rescan all available channels, including this one. Here's the date and time to rescan this channel so you can keep watching. Questions? Go to tvanswers.org. And remember, plan to rescan.
My thanks to Shelley and Sean and Chander and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.